Hiya, how are you doing? It's Friday, the 12th of June. Um, got a mental health thought. It's a bit of a deep one. I'd probably recommend you to stop now. Stop listening to this. Stop listening to me. You probably noticed already I've got the same top on. I'm a creature of habit. I just like to wear the same things. I just wear this at night. Okay, it doesn't stink that bad. But yeah, I've got the same top on, same coat. Sat in exactly the same place. It's Friday the 12th of June. I think I've already said that. It's been a dark and dingy day. It's been wet. It's been raining all day. And we've had 12 weeks of this social distancing and lockdown. And I wonder what sort of a day you've had. I got up this morning, no work. Don't like these days at all. Really affects my mood. And I'm just sat in my flat thinking, what am I going to do today? It's wet outside. What do you do? What do you do? I'm thinking, do I sit in my flat all day? And I couldn't even motivate myself to do things that I really ought to be doing, basic things. Got to 12 o'clock. And I just thought I'd better get out and ride. So I started thinking about where I'd go and how far I'd go. And being the crazy guy that I am, I thought that I'd set off with a view to doing 100 mile in the rain. Just because I like to do crazy things. And 100 mile would have been a massive challenge. I could relate it to some mental health stuff. So yeah, got all my gear on, got all my waterproofs on, got on the bike and set off really. But I was going to play it by ear, just see how I felt. In the back of my mind, I really want to ride tomorrow morning with some friends who are riding, need the social contact. So I thought if I do 100 mile, I might be a bit tired tomorrow. So I thought I'll just set off and play it by ear. I didn't do the 100 mile. I got up to Skipton and didn't have the mental strength, to be honest. You need a lot of mental strength to cycle 100 mile by yourself, even on a nice day. And I hadn't had a good day mentally. My mental health today hasn't been great. So yeah, I got up to Skipton and I set off back home. Decided to come back. Didn't even have the mental strength on my bike to post a mental health thought. And I rode back. Got back about 5 o'clock. I've had some tea. I've had a nice takeout meal. A pasta dish. Something healthy. Helping me to be ready again for when I set off tomorrow morning. I wasn't even going to post anything tonight, but I've had a chat with a friend. The original friend that had some mental health issues that he posted about on Facebook, and he was just thanking me for encouraging him with those previous messages that I've posted. And I suppose it inspired me a little bit to post a thought tonight. So it's really, really deep, is this? And I'll just switch off now if I were you. Because I'm going to tell you about someone that I've known for a long, long time. And they've given me permission to speak about this. But it's quite a depressive story. About a girl that I met. How many years ago now? 20 years ago. Through the church youth group, I met a young girl that started coming to the youth group that had been brought up in social care. She'd been abandoned by her mum and dad. She'd been abused in different ways as a child, and she was taken into care. And at 17, she moved in by herself, and it was at that point that I got to know her, and it became plainly obvious that she was going to struggle to live in her first flat by herself. And I invited her to come and stay with me and my family. She stayed with us for a few years. She was called Mandy. It was quite a challenging time, really, because she had lots of issues. And so did we. She moved out after 2 years and got into a relationship with a guy, an older guy. She got pregnant and had a beautiful little baby called Chelsea. And she used to bring Chelsea round to our house. We'd spend time with her. We'd try and support her where we could. But she still had mental health issues. And I guess that created lots of struggles having a baby in a relationship. The relationship didn't work out. She loved her daughter Chelsea, still loves her, but it was always going to be a struggle. And eventually she moved away. The relationship didn't work out, found it difficult to look after Chelsea, lots of problems, and she moved down to Devon. Chelsea grew up to be a beautiful young girl who developed her own mental health issues, and she took her own life a few months ago, age 19. I was sat in church a few days after I heard, and we were asked to call out a name of someone that we wanted to pray for. And I wanted to pray for Mandy. Renamed herself Martine, and then after her daughter died, she renamed herself Martina. And I wanted to pray for her. I wanted to call out a name, but I couldn't, because I just couldn't see any hope in what I saw. Martina's 40 now. She lives alone in Devon. And so I couldn't see any hope for Martina in her own mental health issues and having lost her daughter. Martina's 40, in her early 40s. I couldn't call out a name, and I was crying. I was crying in church. I'm a strong lad and I don't often cry. And I believe that it was God crying through me. There's a verse in the Bible, or the Bible in the New Testament shows us that Jesus cried with people who was affected by the things that he saw, and he was affected himself emotionally. And that's a reflection of a loving God who cares about us, that feels the pain, feels our pains and identifies with us. And I was crying that morning, but eventually I called out a name for prayer, and we prayed for her. Now, I've not seen or had any communication with Martina for probably a couple of years. So after the service, I went to Costa with a friend, and I'm sat down having a coffee with my friend, and guess what happened? It's weird, is this? Well, it's not weird, it's probably how God works, but my phone started going in my pocket about an hour after the service. I pulled the phone out of my pocket, I looked at my phone, and it was Martina calling me, and I was in Costa. So I took the call. I went and found a quiet place, and I took the call, and she was just pouring her heart out to me. And I just listened to her for about half an hour, tried to offer what words I could, what words of comfort I could, and eventually came to the end of the conversation and went back to finish my coffee with my friend, and just got on with whatever I was doing. The following day I went to work, and I came home from work, and I was stood here in the kitchen thinking about Martina, and again I was just crying. I was in tears thinking about her situation, And again, I got a message from her with a picture saying, can you see it? Can you see it in the picture? And to be honest, I couldn't, but I felt deep down that what she was trying to show me was some sort of a sign that she'd received from God as a means of comfort in a situation. And she rang me back later to explain what she'd seen. And it was amazing what she'd seen. And I'm not explaining on here what she'd seen, but I know and she knows for certain that what she saw was a sign from God to say, everything's okay. I've got this in hand. And she's had numerous signs over the last weeks and months that in some crazy way that none of us can explain. But God's got this situation in his hand. About a week later on the phone, she called me and just said, look, I'm not well enough to go to the funeral. Will you go and represent me at my daughter's funeral? And how could I say no? I said, yeah, I'd go. I got the time and got the date and got some time off work. And I just turned up at Cottingley. There were all Chelsea's family there. Ex-partner was there, and I didn't know anyone, so I just thought I'll just stay in the background. I'll just keep out of the way, and I'll just attend the service. I'll say a few prayers at the back, but I'll keep out of the way. And the hearse arrived, and to my surprise, there was a really quiet atmosphere there, everyone in a solemn mood. And then all of a sudden, Martina turned up, screaming and crying and in a real state. And I just thought, oh man, oh no, it's going to be mayhem. This funeral is going to be mayhem now. I just sensed that the family who were there just wanted a peaceful service, and Martina was there and absolutely uncontrollable. And my ex-wife was with her as well, and I just thought, oh no, it made it even feel even more awkward. And I just thought, just keep out of the way, just let them get on with it. But as everyone was going into the service, I just felt, no, you need to go over and just say hello. So I went over and said hello to Martina, and she was just really pleased to see me. And she just said, will you sit with me? Will you sit with me through the service? And I did. I just sat with her through that service and squeezed her hand. Really tight. And she managed to get through the service. And through the service, she opened a service book, and I think it was Psalm 91, some really powerful words for her that just gave her some strength and gave her some comfort. So anyway, she got through the service. And I guess it just puts our mental health issues in perspective, does that story really. That maybe the things that we face maybe aren't as big as what we think, without belittling them. There's always more difficult things that people have to go through. Nevertheless, the things that people go through, the struggles that people go through, are tough. And so my thought is, really, an old song came to me today, and I want to sing it to you. I've obviously got my personal beliefs about God and about faith. And I believe that God's with us in our struggles and in our problems. And, I believe that it's even reaching out to us. He reaches out to us, but quite often we fail to reach out to him. You know, I believe that after 30 odd years of walking a faith life, I can say with all certainty now that when we reach out to him, we find out that he's reaching out to us. And so I believe that God reaches out in love to each one of us in our troubles, in our struggles, and that none of us are beyond his reach. And the song that came to me today was, he's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. So this is for Martina. He's got you and me, Martina, in his hands. He's got you and me, Martina, in his hands. He's got you and me, Martina, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. This one's for Karina, who lost her mum yesterday after a cancer battle. Lost her mum, Joan, who was a lovely lady. And Joan was a lady of faith who trusted God, who knew where she was going, who died in peace, knowing that God was with her. And so, Karina, this is for you and your family and your dad, Pete, as well. Okay, he's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got you and me, Karina, in his hands. He's got you and me, Karina, in his hands. He's got you and me, Karina, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. And this is for my bike mate, Aaron, okay, who initially inspired me to do these, who repairs my bike. Great lad. Singing it for you, Aaron. That you get some strength from it, mate. He's got you and me, Aaron, in his hands. He's got you and me, Aaron, in his hands. He's got you and me, Aaron, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got us in his hands. All we need to do is reach out. God bless you. God keep you. Have a good night's sleep. Have a great weekend. God bless you and keep you. See you.